Moving on now to the Education Matters Word of the Week, and here is this week's word: pestilence. Pestilent is a noun, and it means any usually fatal epidemic disease. It also means a pernicious, evil influence or agent, okay? And here is this week's sentence. The country was in crisis when it was plagued by both pestilence and floods at the same time. Some of you know that word from the Bible. Israelites.
I will execute judgment upon him with plague. I will execute judgment upon him with plague. I will execute judgment upon him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstones, and burning sulfur on him and on his troops and on the many nations with him. And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord.
This is Wrap the News. The coronavirus was not made in a lab. The coronavirus was sent down directly from God. The coronavirus comes from the Nibiru Planet X, Planet Hell system. Let's explain that. This fiery planet emits red iron oxide dust. It is coming in a cloud. That cloud is hitting our atmosphere at this moment right now. It is making some parts of our planet look like Mars, like Australia and Indonesia.
It's an alarming image that's become all too familiar for the residents of Mildura, with the city choked by the orange glow of another dust storm.
We definitely will say this is one of the worst years ever. I've only been a farmer for 19 years and it's been the worst that I've ever seen.
When we breathe in this iron oxide dust, a lot of times we are not even seeing it. And it causes sepsis, pneumonia. It is causing hemochromatosis, which is iron overload. And so it is causing diabetes, kidney failure, heart failure, liver failure, brain failure. It is shutting down our whole entire system of our bodies. And it's one person at a time as you breathe it in. It is the destroyer. It is here destroying before it sets this nation ablaze. It is burning in our night skies as we speak. Let's use common sense, people. Okay, you got a big red fiery planet emitting red iron oxide. The fish is dying, the birds is dying, right? The animals are dropping dead around the planet. And then all of a sudden, all these people is catching what they call the coronavirus and dropping dead in certain locales, right? Australia just put out some kind of, mayday, right?
The coronavirus will enter a pandemic phase, prompting the government to initiate its emergency response plan.
With cases of the virus now present in 42 countries around the world, the PM says the risk to Australia is very much upon us, despite the World Health Organization not yet declaring a pandemic.
And so it is San Francisco, right?
San Francisco Mayor London Breed declared a local emergency today, despite no confirmed cases in the city.
And by declaring a state of emergency, we are prioritizing the safety of our communities by being prepared.
And so what's happening here? Wasn't that cloud of dust out there? Then those people breathing in? Wasn't those animals dying? Not on fire from the meteorites coming from this planet? See how that all goes and it fits hand in hand to death? Did not the Lord say in Ezekiel 38:22 that he was going to send pestilence down? Right? And this is the pestilence. It's a part of the system. So if you don't take the necessary precautions right now, eventually it will shut your lungs down. You've heard me cough and cough and cough and cough and cough for months. It's because I'm breathing in this dust. That planet was right outside the California coast. That's where they spotted it at. So it's here in California, the biggest state in America. That's where the planet is showing up. Think about that, man. And so we here in California is getting it first. My whole family, my wife done been to the doctor 2 or 3 times for lung problems and things like that. Everybody having lung problems out here. We got masked. We had masks before the coronavirus came out. Because this is very serious, people. Very serious. And my lungs are still bothering me now. That will cause death. So we have to be careful about running, breathing in this air, not wearing a mask, and also the fools that vape, you will die right now from vaping. Let's get into it.
During a total solar eclipse, you can see the outer hazy atmosphere around the sun, which we call the corona, which we call the corona, which we call the corona.
Now we are going to Compare dust pneumonia with the coronavirus.
Symptoms of dust pneumonia include high fever, chest pain, difficulty in breathing, and coughing. People who had dust pneumonia often died.
Anyone who is worried should look out for cough, sore throat, high temperature, feeling tired, and difficulty breathing. Anyone who is worried should look out for cough, and difficulty breathing. Sore throat, high temperature, feeling tired.
Breathing becomes harder when there's a lot of fine dust in the air. Adding to the misery is wearing a face mask all the time, knowing some of the particles will still get into the body because no consumer face mask is 100% dust-proof. Experts say these particles are so fine that once they pass through our airways, they get stuck in our lungs. And that's a big problem, especially for teenagers, because the residue hampers their lungs' development. Doctors say while there is no medicine guaranteed to counter the effects of fine dust particles, such as breathing difficulties, it does help to stay hydrated. Experts say staying indoors is best, but if you must head outside, they recommend wearing a face mask and drinking hot water after returning home. Along with our lungs, our eyes are also exposed to fine dust every day. Protecting eyes from dust particles is tricky because there is no mask. Doctors recommend the following.
When concentrations are high, I recommend refraining from wearing contact lenses. And it's a good idea to use eye drops more often to wash the dust particles out of the eyes.
Health experts say that with more studies to be done on the negative effects of fine dust on our bodies, people should follow doctor recommendations in the meantime.
So let me break it down in layman terms for you. So it states in Ezekiel 38 that the destroyer is coming. That is God's anger. And basically, this is a big, huge, fiery planet emitting red iron oxide into our atmosphere. We are breathing that in, and it is causing dust pneumonia and eventually sepsis, a total body shutdown. It is causing hemochromatosis, which is an iron overload. That's why diabetes have gone sky high. Anyways, basically, if you're not wearing a mask, and I'm talking about a full mask, you ain't got something to get the dust out of your house. If you're running track and everything, you could just drop dead right now. There is no cure for this. This is the end time pestilence that God is using to destroy the nations.
I got a dust pneumonia, pneumonia in my lungs. I got a dust pneumonia, ooh, pneumonia in my lungs. And I'm gonna sing ya, ooh, a dust pneumonia song.
Health conditions from the Dust Bowl era was dust pneumonia. What was dust pneumonia? What methods did Dust Bowl residents use to try and combat the encroaching dust? During the 1930s, when the Great Plains region was being plagued by a drought and ravaged by dust storms, a new physical ailment emerged. It was known as dust pneumonia, and it was caused by breathing in dust from the air. Dirt would fill the lungs and cause coughing, tightness of the chest, labored breathing, and shortness of breath. Children and the elderly were affected the most, with deaths being common. Many were hospitalized because of this condition, but it is difficult to tell exact numbers because medical records from the era were either not kept or not well preserved. Those who lived in the Dust Bowl tried many different methods to combat the dust and keep themselves healthy. Parents would have their children sleep with sheets over their beds, like tents, to reduce the amount of dust they inhaled during their sleep. Dust masks and wet cloths over the mouth were other methods that some used to try and prevent dust inhalation. Additionally, goggles were sometimes worn to keep blowing dust out of the eyes. Housewives made many efforts to keep the dirt and dust out of the home. Sometimes these activities were as simple as constantly sweeping the floors. Other methods were more significant, such as tacking bed sheets in front of the doors and windows, wetting them down in an effort to keep out as much dust as possible. They also used strips of cloth soaked in a paste made of flour and water to insulate the outer edges of windows, trying to seal them shut. While humans could take these measures, Animals were not so lucky. Cattle and other livestock had little shelter and nowhere to run from the dust storms. Many families were forced to watch helplessly as their animals died from dust inhalation. No livestock meant no meat, eggs, milk, or other dairy products, which only added more hardship to their lives. The dust was everywhere. Residents of the Dust Bowl region lived in it, breathed it, slept in it, and even ate it. Many Dust Bowl survivors testified that they could feel the gritty dirt in their food. There was no escaping it. The measures mentioned above helped reduce the dust some, but it was a constant presence in their lives.
Directly from an infected person or a contaminated surface. You can then catch the virus if you touch your face with your hands, something we do about 15 times an hour. The best line of defense is to wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Also, carry a hand sanitizer, tissues, wash your hands before you eat, and be careful in public places about touching surfaces and then touching your face. The UK has strong public health systems, and authorities are confident they can cope with a large disease outbreak. But what experts really fear is the virus taking hold in the megacities of Africa and Asia, where health systems are weak, people live close to each other, and sanitation is poor. Here, a large epidemic would be impossible to control.